you are feeling spiritually open but ungrounded, this video is for you. By the end, I'm going to help get some clarity around what you can do to start feeling the embodiment of that spiritual essence that you have been cultivating and opening up to. So, hello kind hearts, if you are new here, my name is Georgia Oshara and I help sensitive souls who have awakened and feel open to their heart, but yet maybe feeling a little bit disconnected to the body and want to integrate that spiritual awareness. You are in the right place if that's you. Now let's get started. So let's clear up a few things. When we are spiritually open, we can sometimes believe that in order to be grounded, and this is no judgment, because I have been there where my grounding techniques were the sense of wearing more grounding kind of crystals and going out into nature and spending time in nature, which are great tools. But when we have very out of body experiences, we need a sense of grounding, where grounding goes beyond just literally the ground beneath us, and it's all about really grounding into our body so that energies are settled in the body, and that means our nervous system is actually feeling regulated. Okay, when we have a regulated nervous system, we get a deeper sense of self in the body, in the human experience. And that's when we can actually perceive what we're experiencing from a lens of how to actually let it unfold in our reality as well. Because what can often happen is that we find ourselves feeling disconnected from reality. So we found a belonging to spirit, to maybe our, we might call it our higher self, or that expanded self, as I like to call it, where we get that expanded sense of our allness. We may feel a belonging back with nature, back with our spirit guides and all of those wonderful things, but we then suddenly feel like we don't belong to the surroundings around us, like the people, the other people around us, because maybe they're not on the same path, so then maybe they don't get what you're experiencing, and that can be very ungrounding, destabilising, because you're not feeling sure, because there's no external representation of what you're experiencing. And this isn't the case for everyone, but for a lot of people that is the case, because maybe in the family home that hasn't been the upbringing that you have experienced. There may be different religions in the household, there may be different belief systems in the household, and maybe a lack of spiritual practice altogether, and that can then relate into feeling very disconnected from everywhere else and everyone else, and then that can really shift into friendship groups, relationships, and even in your work life. You spend a lot of time potentially at work, and then you're not sure how to bring that into work, how to switch. You feel potentially like you have two parts that you're playing. We tend to find that we then start playing different roles. We start to notice these different roles and different parts that we have been playing, maybe unconsciously before, in a bid to fit in, to feel the belonging, because it's a very tribal, natural state of being, is to feel connected to other people around us. So what we tend to do is chameleon ourselves. We tend to shift and shape ourselves to fit what other people will feel comfortable with. But then when you become spiritually open, spiritually aware of yourself, and get a broader sense of yourself, you then start to think, okay, hang on, that actually doesn't feel like me. That's something I've created so that I belong there, and now I don't resonate with that. How am I going to belong there unless I start pretending and not being myself in that space? And that, again, it's very dysregulating for the nervous system, because you want to, the safety in the body comes from the belonging. It becomes from the safety of community and relation, of how we relate to everything else. And when we stop relating, there is then this dysregulation, because you think, right, how and where am I going to find this regulation? Well, it starts with regulating that nervous system within ourselves. It starts with not just even about, the breath and the things, but it's also about just noticing in the body when you are feeling those feelings, noticing, just observing. Very, very, very simple, but a very powerful technique is to notice and feel those sensations, and then see if you can speak to those sensations and asking those sensations why they are here and what we can actually do about them. Take some autonomy in this process for yourself and really see if you can have a conversation with what is happening, because then you'll get a deeper understanding of why those parts were even created in the first place, why you're feeling so disconnected from those parts, and how can we bring this expanded aware self to support that part in navigating what it's experiencing. Yeah, because this spiritually aware self has actually a lot of tools and a lot of wisdom to help you to integrate into the body. So instead of going up with this spiritually aware sense, and I say up because it often feels like this up and out of the body sensation, or we just feel like we're fragmenting out. That feels safe. We're disconnecting, we'll float off, we'll start to disembody, to be in that spiritual domain. But how about bringing that spiritual domain to come in and communicate through the body in more detail, taking it slow, really listening in and seeing how that feels to the body, because the body is still a part of you. It's a part of you on this human experience, so that's not going anywhere, right? The experiences won't go anywhere. The shift in that part to that part to that part that you cultivated isn't necessarily going to go anywhere either, right? But we can shift how we relate to that part that we've created. We can also shift how we choose to interact in those spaces from a place of finding that safety within, and also allowing others to understand where you are without understanding that sometimes maybe other people will be more reactive to you because you feel that you're hiding something, that you're changing, and then maybe not relaying that to other people. And we don't need to feel like we need to hide this from others necessarily, okay? Every experience is different. But for yourself, what you will notice is that actually, by being more of your integrated self, you allow yourself to be that grounded, steady pillar that other people will go, I actually like that resonance over there. That person is embodying something that I have been seeking, and I didn't know I was even seeking it. This is where then maybe your environment actually starts to change to work alongside this spiritually awakened sense of self. This is the work that I guide people through the heart path, which is an accumulation of sessions that really dive deep into the embodiment process so that we can feel and open safely through the heart. We can work with our spiritual awareness, but yet be so deeply embodied in that truth that our body comes along for the ride with us. Right? Because that's often the time why we feel so ungrounded, because we don't think that the body or that these parts that we've cultivated can come along for the ride. And it's often when we start fragmenting those parts out and then not wanting to acknowledge them, not wanting to work with them, not wanting to see them anymore, that we then feel like that sense of separation, dissociation, lack of belonging, unintegration of everything that we're experiencing, because we haven't got a place to allow that to settle and land, because we're not allowing it to settle and land in the body. So we've got to really ask ourselves that question: why isn't it settling and landing in the body? So I know you're going to know that truest question. You know, what is it? Because there may have been some things that have happened up until this point, whether it's childhood or even some later experiences, that are giving you a sense that it's not safe to bring this into the body. So we need to look at that. And when we're able to look at that, we're able to then do the work that allows us to fully embody that. And with such ease, such grace. It doesn't have to be painful or grueling or prolonged. There are layers to this process. And you are so deeply invited to take that leap and take that look into what's going to allow you to step in to that embodied, integrated self. Because people often come to me with this question of, how do I live the life that I want to live in the spiritual awareness that I want to live, when it doesn't feel like that's what's around me or outside of me, when we have to do certain things that do not feel spiritual. And my answer to this is always the same, is to really listen into the body, and where you feel, because of the conditioning that has maybe been outside of yourself, that has taught you to think that you are not allowed, or that there is some kind of shame around some part of you that is now not allowed to express itself. And when we start to create more devotional practice and attention to allowing that part to be expressed through the body, through your voice, through your actions, whatever it is that is blocking that part, it will start to untangle the separation between the spiritual opened self-expression and how you are holding yourself in everyday life. So if that is something that you are interested in, I would love to give you the Heart Path Journey. It's a free Voice of the Heart journey that guides you into a listening state through the soma of really what is going on within the heart. And it's such a profound practice. Like, I cannot tell you, this is what I do with my clients all the time, and they absolutely love it. They're blown away at the fact that, you know, parts of their body can actually communicate with one another, that, you know, you can go in and communicate with your body in different ways, and what profound wisdom can actually come of that as well. So I'd love to hear from you. If you do download this practice, please do reach out and let me know how it goes. And I'd love to hear what your spiritual integration practice is in the comments below.